Hello, fellow followers. Welcome back to FanZcene. Greg here. And today I have for you modern movies, theaters, streaming, and physical media. These are all subjects I want to touch on in this video because I recently saw this article here, which I'm not going to read the article, but I'm going to show you the headline of the article because the headline alone, oh boy, you guys is insane. But I'm going to pop this up here right here. It says, radical things to help improve theaters, right? They want to allow texting, smoking weed, sing-alongs and stuff like that. And these are outrageous ideals that the theaters themselves are coming up with to help save movie theaters. And personally, I think these are probably the dumbest ideals I've ever heard in my life. And if anything, these will drive theaters further into the ground and people stop going here because the most modern people who do the texting and just film videos and stuff from the stuff for the theater are just looking for social media clout. They're not there to see the movie. They don't give a shit about the movies, right? The people that actually care about the movies are being run off by this stupid crap. And what I wanted to touch on each one of these things is they're all sort of coming together. And this is why where we are in the people running these things, all these type of things are destroying entertainment and everything in and of itself. And they don't realize it. It's a simple fix. Will things ever be the same as they once was? No. I think the glory days of like the 80s and 90s when we had these massive blockbuster movies that we all came to love and enjoy that meant so much to our childhood, and these smaller independent films, because the independent films busted out big time in the 90s and everything, and different level budget action flicks, thrillers, comedies, they all, was really hit the main boom in the 80s and the 90s. Will that ever come back? I don't know. I maybe there will be a little resurgence of it, but I don't think it will ever be the same. And the thing is, like, it's the studios and streamers' faults and the theaters' faults for how this is all playing out, right? So what the studios and themselves don't get is that with modern movies, people are tired of the political driven, message driven dribble that people keep making and putting out in the theaters. So that in turn is hurting the theaters because nobody wants to go see those movies anymore. They're tired of it. They're fed up of it. We've seen the political messaging through the news and through our social media feeds for the past 8 years. It's annoying, and even before that, people saw it coming well before the past 8 years. It's just flat out destroyed entertainment and everything. And then streaming came along, and streaming is flat out just almost killed entertainment in general because all the modern studios and streamers, all they care about is getting that quick content fix. They've made movies that go theatrical look like made for streaming movies, and because that's exactly where they're going to go in the first place, right? And I was just talking with Tom from Midnight's Edge, that we talked about streaming is streaming. What it is today is never what it should have been. It's starting to sort of change to the way it probably should have been to begin with, but streaming should have never focused on trying to replace the movie theaters and for movies. It just never should have. It should have honestly replaced normal broadcast TV because it should have focused on TV series and live events and stuff. And that should have been that. And the theaters and movies should still be in movies and theaters and stuff like that. And then you could stream them on that later. This is what I'm talking about. And it's also hurt physical media, right? And all of it works together. So the studios out there need to make better movies. It's like I heard a long time ago, if you want movies to succeed, you got to give people something that they want to keep coming back to watch. And most movies are not made to come back to watch. They're made for quick consumable content. All they care about is that quick $100 million opening weekend for the bigger budget movies. And then all they care about is how many minutes it is streamed on video on demand or a streaming service. And they're losing money. And I don't care what anybody says. Streaming is a horrible business model. I don't care if you like it or not. That's cool. I get it. The masses love it. Ease and comfort. But Apple TV is losing $1 billion a year. Peacock is losing $7 million a day. Streaming is a horrible business practice. The only one that has been successful and the one I hate the most is Netflix. I cannot stand that. They're the one that started all this crap with streaming, and they think they're better. They even the CEO has come out and said he thinks people could get just a good experience of the movie Oppenheimer on their phone watching Netflix as it did in the theaters. That's one of the reasons what's killing entertainment and theaters and in general. And also with theaters as well, I want to say, yes, I love going to the theater. I love seeing the movie, but it is hard there's not much new I want to see. But with theaters, we also need to start stopping people from pulling out their phones in the theater. We need to start shaming people for taking their shoes off and being loud and videoing and texting and chatting. I think it's okay to cheer and clap and maybe, every once in a while when the song comes and maybe you hear somebody sing like that. That's fine. Right, you're going to the movie to have enjoyment, but not when it's like the whole theater doing a sing along and texting and video and smoking weed, taking their shoes off. This isn't your house. You can do that at your house, right? So the theaters need to, also manage their theaters better. The studios need to stop pushing message-driven, dribble content, streaming stuff to you on your movie theater screen. They need to start making more movies. Right. I know what do you mean making more? There used to be like I said, there was so much variety going to the theaters where most of that variety has gone on to streaming. But it's like I said, it's gone on. It's quick. It's forgettable. People move on. It's not giving time to breathe. It's not giving time to like a movie like The Explorers by Joe Dante. Right. I don't think it was a huge hit in the theaters, but that's gone on to become a very popular movie amongst people because it ran in the theaters longer. This is also something they need to do. They need to allow movies to run in the theaters longer, even if it is a flop of a movie, because even if it's flop or successful, they immediately give it like 2, 3, 4 weeks sometimes, if you're lucky, 4 weeks in the theaters and directly to video on demand. And then like I said before, when that hits video on demand, people pirate that quick like that. They got to be losing a little bit of money on that, because people will download that quickly, make a copy of it, torrent it, make a Blu-ray, sell it to other people, and those people are getting the movie out there quicker. So you got to allow these movies to have a better long life in theaters. You got to make better movies. You got to make more movies. I mean, it was like we saw with the success of A Working Man. It was a $40 million movie. It made $15 million, like $15.2 million or something here in the U.S., $15 million overseas for the weekend on a $40 million budget. So it's already made over $30 million. It's going to probably make over $60 million in the U.S. alone. And then combined with the international grosses, it'll probably be well over $100-something million. And that is a successful movie. So we need smaller, lower budgeted movies and more movies in the theaters that give people a variety to go, and theaters to clean up themselves as well and take better care of themselves and not allow so much of the people taking their shoes off, smoking weed, texting and all that. And we need to stop letting these movies go directly to video on demand and streaming weeks after the release. They need that longevity, because that's how a movie grows. That's how people grow on it. And you got to give, like I said, you got to give them something that people are willing to repeat view, not something that you can get a quick few minute hits off of and a few $100 million off of real quick and then just turn over to the next thing. And because things are flopping left and right. And I as far as like physical media, because I'm absolutely love physical media. I'm a huge physical media guy. Is like, I think something that could also possibly help the physical media market, along with, besides putting more physical media back in stores for people to find, which is something we need to do, is instead of sending these movies directly to video on demand or streaming after the theatrical run, maybe you could, put the physical media, the Blu-ray or the 4K, release it possibly on the same day as the video on demand, because that way you're hitting the physical media people and the people who love to do the video on demand stuff, not streaming. Because like I think they even took like Nosferatu out of the theaters when it was doing really well. It could have probably made a little more money in the theaters, but I think they took it out and put it directly on Peacock and video on demand, which I think that's got to hurt a budget wise, right? A little bit. I mean, it was successful. I'm not saying it wasn't, but that's got to hurt a little bit. So maybe it's like, because I think if you do this, it will help the theaters, more of a variety in theaters, movies that are not made to go directly to streaming, because it feels like most movies in theaters today are like made for streaming movies. That's what it really feels like. And they need to feel more theatrical. They need to be stopped political and message driven. They need to be a variety. They need smaller budgets, independent films. You need to let movies breathe in the theater. You need to, coincide it. Like Christopher Nolan has a great idea with the physical media release. Like make the physical media release just as important. People will say, well, physical media is dead or dying because why would anybody buy that streaming? Well, you've made the studios themselves have made the physical media format an afterthought, when that it's still $1 billion market. There's still a want and a need for it from people, and people will still want to buy their favorites. If they see a really good movie, people will want to buy that physical copy. So if you make the physical release just as important as they used to, as it once was with the release when it comes out of theaters, and make that just as important, and maybe coincide it with the video on demand release, and then maybe make a bigger deal when it hits streaming. You know, you don't need to. It's like I say video on demand and streaming because like that's two different things. Because the video on demand is like, you know, it's like the video store nowadays. You go onto like Vudu or Apple or Fandango or whatever it's called, and you spend like $20 for a new movie, which I can't do that. Honestly, I can't spend like $25 for a new movie. I'd rather wait for a physical copy. So like that's video on demand. Streaming is something different, you know, that's like a monthly fee and it comes on. So like if you make the physical media release and maybe the video on the release at the same time, same day after it comes out of theaters and stuff, after you've let it run in theaters longer, and then you make that, you know, video, the physical media and the video on demand release important, just important. I think that would help. And then you wait for streaming. Then you can like with streaming should be like broadcast TV. Like you make a big deal, like it's a 2-night premiere on Hulu or something of this movie, and then you know you keep it on there so people can choose and play. You know, but like you make it something special. I mean, because like streaming itself should have been broadcast, the new form of broadcast TV, which is why I think things like Tubi and Roku TV and stuff like that, which is free and has commercials and stuff, tend to do better than like, because at one point in time, Tubi, it was still might be, Tubi was the most watched streaming service outside of Netflix, right? So it was watched more than Disney Plus, Hulu, and everything, because Tubi was watched because it feels much more like broadcast TV and everything. So that's the way streaming should have went. So like all in all, with movies, modern movies, streaming, theaters, and physical media, there's a lot of work that can be done. A lot of it can be easily fixed. You know, I think the hardest part is making better movies, because Hollywood is too stubborn and they don't care about certain portions of the audience out there. All they care about is sticking it to certain people and making movies that they, you know, I can't understand how they keep making themselves lose so much money with these movies, trying to stick it to people when they could be making more money. Seems like maybe tides are turning a little bit, but the theaters need to do better. The studios need to do better. Streaming can fuck off. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. And physical media can be a great balance into this and can be brought back better, and probably could succeed if you make the physical media release just as important as the theatrical release as they once did, because I still think there's money in that. These are my thoughts and opinions. What are your guys' thoughts and opinions on modern movies, theaters, streaming, and physical media? Leave them in the comments section down below. And if you liked what you saw here, maybe consider hitting that like button or subscribing, hitting that bell for notifications. That'd be awesome for your guys' subscriptions. Possibly share the video out for everybody to see, or join and become a channel member, because that would help out my channel immensely. Thank you and shout out to all my channel members. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you guys for being channel members here and for all of your support. And to everybody watching, whether you like me, hate me, or like this video, or hate this video, I thank you for sticking this long. Wherever you all are, please have a great, safe, happy, healthy day, morning, afternoon, evening, and night. Always support physical media, because it truly is the superior format now more than ever. Godspeed.